Thanks for pointing out. So generally, actually, the ISTD folks start the recording, but I think that probably got overlooked. Anyway, so as I was saying, that it's very important. We Thanks, Karishma. So we are able to ensure that people operate to their maximum potential. And today we will talk about on similar lines about employee engagement. How do you ensure that people are engaged? That is very important. Any thoughts on engagement? You know, most of you are HR professionals. Any thoughts which come to your mind when we talk about employee engagement?
Hi, sir. Karishma this side. Good morning.
Yeah, hi, Krish. Morning.
So there are many ways to look at employee engagement, and there are many definitions to it. But as far as my experience is concerned, I feel that it is the responsibility of the HR department who's taking care of learning and development and employee engagement to ensure that people are aligned with what they are doing. They are motivated, they are encouraged, and they are rewarded.
Mhm.
So if somebody, let's say, is responsible for booking flights for people, that if we are saying that that employee is engaged, it means they'll be more productive, they'll be aligned with their role. All the tools, the processes and the systems should be in the place for them to perform. There should be proper reward and recognition in place. There are many ways to look at it, but till now this is what I think, sir.
Great. And Karishma, are you part of HR or you are in operations?
I'm part of the HR, sir, HR team.
Okay, very good. So let me reduce your stress to an extent by saying that, like you said, HR is responsible for improving employee engagement. You're right, and I really appreciate your answer because it's detailed and you had all the points which are absolutely correct. Only one thing I would like to add. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
what you're saying
yeah.
is
I think,
incorrect.
yeah.
Uh,
No, no, I get it. I would also say the managers, the team,
Absolutely,
everybody is
absolutely,
responsible. Everybody's,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
In fact,
So
sir, sorry
yeah,
to pitch
yeah,
in,
yeah.
sir.
Please go ahead.
What I also feel, sir, HR can always have a broader overview, and that also HR cannot be actually monitoring on a day-to-day basis. So it is actually going to be the operations team which has to keep motivated the team level, wherein the managers as well as the supervisors will play in that role. And as on a practical basis, which I have seen over here, it is generally the operations manager, immediate team lead, whoever is there. He is the one who is knowing everybody's how the motivation as well as the working performance is varying. Sometime it is going up, sometime it is going down. So what are the factors which are affecting actually the individual? He may be able to answer it much better than a maybe HR just from the analysis point of view that he will be able to gather.
Right,
Thank you, sir.
absolutely, absolutely. I was going to give the virtual chocolate of the day to Karishma, but I think both of you deserve one virtual chocolate. So good, great.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
and you are enjoying your time in Uttarakhand.
Actually said, sir, if my video could have worked, I would have shown that I am still wearing a sweater in this March, which is unique for Uttarakhand and hill people only, sir.
No, actually, Delhi also is
While
not.
others are in AC.
No, Delhi is also quite cool. It's nice. Early in the morning, it's quite nice. But yeah, during the day, it gradually picks up. So you still don't need the AC, but you probably you can start using the fan in Delhi now.
True, sir.
Okay, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So today we will talk about talent engagement. As I said, so these are some definitions of employee engagement. know, so according to the consulting company Parent Global Workforce, they define employee engagement as a willingness and ability to help the company succeed. So, fairly simple, plain vanilla definition: willingness of the employee and the ability of the employee to help the company succeed. So, when we talk about employee engagement, and I think as Karishma had also pointed out, remember there will be a lot of focus on the willingness of the employee, the voluntary aspect of being able to engage with what the company expects you to do. Okay, and here, like both Mayank and Karishma said, that HR will be an enabler, and the primary push will come from the operating manager or the immediate manager. But HR will be an enabler, and they will enable this to happen. They have to bring in the help the operating manager have the right focus. The operating manager needs to understand how to go about it and then how to implement it. So here is one definition. Another one by Gallup. Everybody knows Gallup. Gallup is a very famous organization which is focused on employee engagement. So they talk about involvement and enthusiasm of the worker. So this is, again, you can see there is a voluntary aspect, enthusiasm. So the engagement, the excitement of the employee to constantly be able to contribute and do their best. In one of the companies where I worked, they called the appraisal system PBC, personal business commitment. So, business commitment that you are making is not something, oh, okay, this is something I do when I go to office, but this is personal. It reaches deep down inside you. There are a lot of people who see office as, oh, this is official and this is personal, which is fine. That differentiation is fine. But when there is a deeply engaged employee, the personal becomes the official, and the distinction between the two evaporates. So it's your personal enthusiasm, it's your personal excitement, it's your personal exuberance that results in contribute contribution to the work of the company. Okay, anybody would like to read this definition?
Sure, sir, I can read it.
Sure,
It
Krish.
says employee engagement is a positive attitude held by the employees towards the organization and its values. An engaged employee is aware of the business context and works with the colleagues to improve performance within the job for the benefit of the organization. The organization must work to develop and nurture engagement, which requires a two-way relationship between employer and employees.
Great, thanks, Krish.
Sure.
So this is a very detailed definition. Employee engagement is a positive attitude. So first of all, very important, it's a positive attitude held by the employee towards the organization and its values. So again, there is the softer aspect of the values of the organization. Next is, an engaged employee is aware of the business context, works with colleagues to improve performance within the job for the benefit of the organization. And the organization must work to develop and nurture this engagement, which requires a two-way relationship between employer and employee. So it's a two-way relationship. Remember, it's not a one-way relationship. It's give and take. Uh, I think there is an automobile ad which says that, this is a car which loves you back. So it's not a one-way street. You love the organization loves you back. Now, this is very, very important, this definition. So employee engagement refers to a psychological state in which employees are intellectually and emotionally involved in their work and are positively connected with their co-workers and the larger organization. So it's a psychological state in which employees are intellectually and emotionally in their minds, in their emotions. So the cognitive system and the limbic system in the brain both are connected to your co-workers and the larger organization, or as they say in English, in body, mind and spirit, in mind and body. So in every way you are engaged with your organization and the co-workers in the organization. So it's a the state of mind fosters a sense of pride, a willingness to apply discretionary effort, and most importantly ignites energy that would not otherwise exist. So these are very powerful words. This state of mind fosters a sense of pride, a willingness to apply discretionary effort. So I would want you to focus on these two words: discretionary effort and ignites energy that would not otherwise exist. So any thoughts on what does this mean, discretionary effort?
Sir, is it when people go? I mean, of course, they do their best, but at times when people go out of their way to do things and make it possible, can we say it?
Yes. Yeah, very good. So so generally what happens is, we do our 9 to 5 job. If we go to an office, we log in and we do work that is expected of us, and then we close our laptop or monitor or whatever. We log out and come back home. uh, but when you take your work with you take your work extremely seriously, you're extremely diligent, and you give it everything you can, that is where you are bringing in additional effort. You're bringing in discretionary effort. And employees who do that, they are a boon to their company. The company productivity immediately improves, and the company is able to achieve far more than what it otherwise would have. So discretionary effort is very critical. And if, as a talent management organization, as a talent management department, you are able to extract discretionary effort from your employees, then you are a success as far as talent management goes. And that is a extraordinary success if you're able to achieve that. Second is, we were talking about the voluntary aspect. It ignites the energy. So it's a very powerful word, ignites the energy that would not otherwise exist. So any thoughts on what this means?
Sir, doing a normal job, doing a routine job may sometimes become a little more, little difficult, and then the energy levels become lower, and so people don't remain so much focused and so much motivated to keep working hard, what do you say, walking the extra mile. So while that energy is required to be reignited and has to have some kind of an impetus wherein you are able to put in some extra effort, and so that the work remains positive and you keep working harder and working additional and working more for the task.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Very often what happens is that so Mayank pointed out a situation where our energy flags at times, or we lose interest, or we become exhausted, and we struggle to keep up a normal energy level which other employees are contributing to the organization. That is one. Second is where you put in an extra bit, and you ignite energy which probably you were not aware that existed. Now this is something very important, and we have talked about, we are all familiar with different theories of motivation: Herzberg's theory of motivation, Maslow's theory of motivation. uh, so basically all theories of motivation at the heart of every theory of motivation is a premise, is a concept. The concept is that humans are very elastic. Humans, sometimes you will see that somebody, maybe the person is very educated. They have gone to the best colleges and universities, and they have worked in the best organizations, but somehow they are not contributing enormously to the organization. And then you will also see some people, they may not have gone to all the best educational institutes or have worked in great organizations, but sometimes they are just live wire. They are full of energy, they are full of uh, contributions to the organization. So human beings are extremely elastic. That is at the heart of motivation. So uh, if you have the right environment, which HR needs to ensure, and secondly, if you have the your immediate managers and your peer group enabling you in the way that the organization desires, the output and the productivity that the organization desires, then that energy gets ignited, and people are motivated to deliver their best. So there is a concept called the Pygmalion effect. Does anybody know what the Pygmalion effect is?
Which affects are
Pygmalion.
Pygmalion. Okay.
No,
Okay, so
sir, not heard, sir.
no problem. So there is a um, there is a play by George Bernard Shaw. He was an Irish English playwright. He wrote this play, which is based on a Greek legend. So, and there was a Hindi movie also made by Devanand on based on this play called Manpasand. So, what happens is that uh, there is this girl who comes from a very poor family, and she's selling flowers on the road. And there is this professor who sees this girl, and this professor is an expert in linguistics, in how we speak. you know um, so this professor says that he tells his friend that I'm such a good expert at changing the way people speak, that this flower girl who's sitting on the road selling flowers, she speaks like a uneducated person today, but if I train her, she can speak like the most sophisticated professor that you will come across in a university. And his friend says, that is rubbish. You can't do that. Nobody can do that. He says, no, no, see, I will show you. So this role was played by Devanand, and the flower girl was Tina Munim, who's in the Reliance family now. So, so Devanand trains Tina Munim to become a very sophisticated speaker, and she does become. She changes and she becomes, somebody who is enormously educated, who's successful, who speaks very well, and people don't realize that she is actually a flower girl who used to sell flowers on the road. So the story basically says that the flower girl had enormous potential, and that potential was nurtured, nourished, and brought out by the professor who was an expert in improving the skills of whoever he trained. So, Pygmalion is when you have all of us, we have a lot of potential in us, but that potential, unfortunately, stays with us and then dies with us. It never comes out in many lives. But if you get the right opportunity, and that's why people always want to go and study in the best places, but if you get the right opportunity, then that potential that you have, which unfortunately remains latent or hidden, that gets ignited, and you get transformed into a different person. You can do this to yourself as well, but generally we are inert, we are taken over by inertia, and we typically don't do that. But if an organization enables that to happen, then you are able to ensure that everybody is delivering to the best of their potential. And if that is happening, then the productivity that your organization is going to enjoy is going to be exponential. Uh, is anybody familiar with the work environment in Amazon?
No, sir.
Not really, sir. But we have heard that it's very stressful and people don't get adequate leaves and all, and they are being pressurized to perform.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm not focusing on the stress part, but the work processes are designed in such a way that they are able to extract every bit of contribution that any individual is capable of making. They are able to extract that contribution. And I'm not saying that's a good thing to do, but I'm saying that you can design your work processes in such a way that you are able to extract, in that case would be wrong, but you are able to encourage people to get engaged with the organization commitments and deliver their best. Okay, so it's very important that two things: one is the discretionary effort of the person, and second, it ignites the energy. These two things are very, very important. Any thoughts so far? Agree, disagree, doubts?
No, sir. Very much agree, sir. The willingness as well as igniting of the thoughts and the igniting of the kind of voluntary uh, involvement is definitely very much required.
Thanks, Mank.
Sir, agree. Can you give a few examples for this?
Bhakti, examples in what sense?
Like where they have a lot of potential and it got nurtured and means they created the value through that.
Mhm. So, Bhakti, you can look into your own career, and I'm sure all of us can look into our own careers, and we would discover the truth of this when we just look back in terms of where we started, how we evolved. So, I can personally say that between year 2008 and 2012, I had a manager whom I used to report to. So he was extremely focused. He was a good manager. Sometimes, of course, he was a bit harsh, but he was very focused. And he would ensure that he remained focused and his team was always focused on the organizational goals. And therefore, during those 4 years, I grew as a person. I was able to deliver extremely well. I was ultra productive because that manager was always tracking what his team is doing. And there you had the competitive environment. I was in IBM at that time, and there was a competitive environment which was enabled by the HR and side by side with what our manager was doing. So both the manager's efforts in ensuring that people deliver their best and HR's efforts in ensuring the systems were so designed that people who were delivering their best, they were recognized, they were appreciated, and they were grown, if not to the next level, to additional responsibilities. So therefore, people who were able to contribute more, they continued to contribute, they were encouraged to contribute. So you can look back on your career and think about those managers or those situations where you were able to do very well. And there would also be situations and years where you could not contribute as much, maybe as you wish to, because of maybe politics, because of the work environment, because of confusion within the organization as to what needed to be focused on. Does that resonate with you, Bhakti?
Surely, sir.
Great. Anybody would like to share any any phase of their career where they felt they were really engaged and contributing, and then another phase where they may or may not have contributed as much as they felt they could?
Hi, sir. Good morning. I'm Yogesh.
Hi, Yogesh. Morning.
See, sir, no, this topic is very much, kind of near to my heart, talent management. And after your discussion, I'm very bound to. I cannot speak my. I stop myself. So, see, this 25 years of my career, different company I have worked. So I must share few points of it. Like, as Bhakti told that what can be done, and you shared like. So the situation is like it is like completely individual to individual how environment you take or you get, or but what I understood is after initial phase is fine. If you are in initial phase of your career, like 5 years to 10 years is fine. People will support you because, and there also there are the leader, because see the everything strategies and all the things flow from top the bottom, right? Here what I understood and realized is uh, people are more self-centric. There are the organization, as you rightly mentioned, who will speak the language like we, but slowly in many organization you find, and you find in your group, your team, your department, I started, the language gets into I, me,
Mhm,
myself, I, myself, me. Okay, if anything is resulted good, it is me who have done.
mhm, mhm.
If it is like, honestly, if it is
Yeah.
like, then blame game starts.
Mhm,
So that is what happens. And even when you choose some, because of anything, you get into the new job because of your salary, your next level, this thing, whatever, then the people will first, you will not even realize what is going.
mhm,
So they will say that Yogesh, we will learn from you, we will do this, that, and you give all your gyan, your all these thing, effort, energy, whatnot, time, and after that you understand that you have been squeezed, and you are left with nothing. And even organization is not giving you any kind of word. What actually organization has to also respond in terms of reciprocating the things, but it doesn't happen. So why I'm sharing, because my fellow colleagues or my fellow students are also there. So I want to say straight or forward. My experience is like, consider the environment, consider everything, and then put your efforts, because efforts and time is such a thing you cannot, I mean, regain it. So put your efforts, because gone are the day when we used to say that that 5,000 years ago, that Krishna told Arjuna that you don't worry about the fruits. That is not in your hand. Efforts are in your hand. But
mhm.
in this world, we must focus on fruits first, and we understand that what fruits we will be getting. Then put your efforts. That is my summation.
Thank you, Yogesh.
Yes, sir.
That's a
Yes. Yeah.
that's a great perspective. Anybody would like to, would they
Yeah,
agree with Yogesh? Would they
yeah,
disagree?
yeah, sir. I would just add to what you were saying, and I think sir has mentioned a very valid point that you also have to kind of do the reiki of the place that you are performing and working in. But what you were saying was the influence of the seniors or the managers on you as far as your performance is concerned. I feel so, like you said, motivation has different meanings and examples and theories by different people and the scholars. Similar way, every individual is motivated by different aspects and different, internal, external, and the kind of people that we have in our surroundings. Some people are very soft, so they need soft people to guide them, to lead them.
Mm,
Some people can face the harshness and still they are very perseverant and they're willing to perform. So I feel in my life, the bosses that I had, some were very friendly, so I was very open and expressive. Some were very harsh, so of course I was very much performance driven. Some were very supportive in a way that they were interested in my personal life as well. If something is bothering me that I'm not able to perform, or if so, there are some people who genuinely try to understand and give you the best guidance. But I feel as an individual, we have to remain professional and give our best in whatever environment we are working in, because that's why we are going to work.
Right. Absolutely.
Sir, I think just a minute, I will also take, sir.
Sure.
I
Please. Please.
as Karishma ma'am has brought out very rightly said, as well as Yogesh sir has brought out very rightly said. Although I'm still, uh, as Yogesh sir has said, I will still like to go with the wordings of the Krishna, as the teachings of Krishna goes, that we should be worried more at the lower level, more about the what performance, what within our ability best we can do, rather than just being worried about the results. As well as a leader, I will myself be telling my team to be more focused results, because results may not every time be as expected, but that should not next time allow my team to lower their efforts because they were not able to achieve the target. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Sir Sandeep here. Actually, I would like to share my
Yes, sir.
some experience. Actually, one is my manager who is tracking team by maintaining diary. So diary part we started day. So he called a meeting in the morning meeting. So what would be planned for today and on yesterday what we did. So tracking point is that if we are lacking, then he pin out the why is not happening, and if any you stuck any problems, you give the prompt resolution on the time. So that's way we learn many things about the day-to-day activity in HR part. So HR having lots of issues in terms of for we are working in a construction line, so pan India location. So we getting a number of issues from various locations. So we have to quickly wrap up all those issues. So like is in a good manner way we have to resolve by the tracking the process, maintaining a diary.
Mhm. Okay. Great. Thanks, Sandeep. So, I think wonderful. First of all, really appreciate all the inputs that all of you put in. Mayank, Karishma, Yogesh, Sandeep, uh, and I think Yogesh has kind of opened a debate, which is actually very real, and you know by bringing in observations from Gita and Lord Krishna's observations, I think we have had a very nice discussion. But what Yogesh pointed out is very valid, because while on one side we talk about giving your best, uh, the conditions or the environment in your organization may not be meant to nurture the people who are giving their best. And like he rightly said, there is a lot of I, me, myself culture, which is individual centric, and at times which is negatively competitive. That either I am successful, if I'm not successful, then somebody else is successful. So I have to succeed at somebody's cost, and not that we can all be successful. So these are ground realities in organization. But I think, again, the way we had started, where uh, we had discussed that the job of HR is to create the environment in an organization where they are able to reduce the I, me, myself culture, where they are able to encourage and promote the people who are giving their discretionary effort, whose energy is ignited by their commitment to the organization. That is where HR plays a very critical role. That is where the organizational values play a very critical role. That is where the leadership of organization plays a very critical role. That, are you ensuring the people who are delivering their 100 to 150% to the organization, are they being protected? Are they being nurtured? Are they being nourished? Are they being supported and recognized? That is very important. So but the ground realities are that in many organizations that doesn't happen. In good organizations that does happen, and in some organizations it happens to such an extent that uh, the workers are exhausted. The contribution that they can make is extracted from them uh, in a very, I would not say harsh, but in a very mechanical way. So therefore, you have to, as talent management professionals, as HR professionals, we have to contribute in such a way that it remains balanced, that there is a balance between the priorities of the organization and the nurturing of the individual. That needs to go hand in hand, and that is where you will get true engaged employees, genuinely engaged employees. So now look at uh, the difference between the companies where you have engaged employees versus companies which are not so engaged. This is from Towers Perrin report, and it says that the this is the deep blue are the companies where you have high levels of employee engagement. So 12-month change in operating income, companies with high engagement have a 19% growth. Net income growth is 13%, and 12-month earnings per share, the EPS is 27.8%. This is for some American companies. Uh, and employee and companies where you have less employee engagement, you can see they are the light blue ones, and they are all in negative. And this is true. I don't know, whether you've seen the work environment and the facilities that are available for Google employees, for Facebook employees. So it's really amazing. You know, the office is like a five-star hotel, and they have all the amenities that you find in a hotel, so that they can focus on the work. It's not to induce luxury in their way of life, but the idea is that, getting a haircut, going to the gym, getting good food, all that is made available, so that it is not something which will take your time and attention. That happens there automatically for you, so that your primary focus is the work that you're doing for the company. And there you can see your productivity going up because all the other things are taken care of by the company. Any thoughts on that?
Sir, I have a question regarding employee engagement.
Yes, okay.
Sir, my question is like these days, is it also that we as HR professionals have some way diverted the employee engagement part into celebrating festivals or maybe just as celebrations? Because today, by this session, what I understand is employee engagement is more into the feedback part, more into the work connection part, but in my organization also the HR standing there, so somewhere HR is also responsible to not put in the right thing to the management, and actually things have got diverted. I think from my experiences, so is it so that is happening in the market?
Okay. Would anybody like to respond to Suketi?
Yes, I agree with Swati. Actually, nowadays we are doing, for only birthday celebration part, they are organizing event part, but more and more in for entertainment part. What we looking in engagement is entertainment, but in fact, is engagement is a different. Like engagement is like productivity part. How we engage in the production, how we engage the employees for productivity to increase their, target achieving aspect. So, what I believe that many organizations believe that engagement only for celebration, but
Yes.
in the fact is that engagement is for engaging employees towards their works and the production part.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
challenge is for HR parties, their HR is not able to for delivering in such a way so people or employee can engage. in the major role is the top management. Top management believe that HR is having a nothing skill part. They are believe that the HR is for entertain purpose. They are for maintaining environmental part only.
Sir, I have a little, I will also say like Sukriti ma'am, I am a little confused now. But although my perspective, I say what you just mentioned initially, that motivation is going to be the triggering part for the performance. So while this entertainment, what Sir has just also mentioned, Sandeep sir, that now celebrations of birthday, festivals, and everything, it is something as a concern, as we say. It is something as a connect, which we say, is also a motivating factor for the employee. To be very frank, if I say if my anniversary was there and nobody from my office has been bothered to check the calendar or to be aware that it was my anniversary and nobody has wished me throughout the day and my anniversary is over. In fact, my boss was also not aware, so he has not even also given me some kind of a maybe last time relief that okay, you go a little 2 hours earlier or go a little earlier, go celebrate with the family also, even if there is no celebration in the office. So then it is going to lower my motivation somewhere, and it is going to lower my performance as well as my engagement with the company, because I will say if they are so much bothered only about my work, so let me also work as official as required. Let me not be too much personally motivated and personally engage myself beyond a limit to do something for the company. So I believe this is a little dichotomy, but maybe indirect linkages are there, which I will request you to clarify, sir.
Mayank sir, actually I would add to something about your statement. Actually, thing is there's employees or employer branding. The employees what they believe for part only benefits, and what they like feel they what they are thinking about the entertain engagement. Employees thinking about for only birthday celebrations part, but they are not in more not beneficial for employer part. For employer part, we have to engage the employee for productivity part. For motivation, we have to boost up for the for regarding scaling up scaling part, and then new skill upgradation, new skill for market standard. So this is the motivation part to engage the employees part. And in fact, the many employees what I surveyed on for employees part, they are not happy with such type of activities like birthday cake cutting or uh, anniversary celebration parties. Sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Uh, so actually, there is no dichotomy between the birthday celebrations and the festival celebrations, doing rangoli in the office. But uh, it should not stop at that. That's all I'm saying. It is good that the celebrations are happening. It's good that the festivals are getting celebrated. Uh, so these things are required. But unfortunately, what happens is that at times HR thinks that this is all we need to do to engage employees. And not just HR, the leadership of the organization also thinks that this is good enough. But actually, engagement is something deeper. It's these are manifestations of engagement. You have festivals. I think today the month of Ramzan is starting, and similarly we have Diwali and Dussehra, Christmas. All festivals get celebrated. There is excitement in the organization. But like Mayank said, and Mayank, belated happy anniversary. Uh, so it's important to you know when it's somebody's birthday, somebody's anniversary, or some reason to celebrate. Let's say when my daughter was born, there was a big mailer which went from HR to the entire company saying that I and my wife have been blessed with a little daughter, which was very touching. I still have that printout of that email, uh, you know 22 years ago. So So these are very important, but along with that you also need to have systems and processes which ensure that you are able to recognize people who are doing well. You are able to have effective yardsticks which tell you who's doing well, who's not doing well, because there are a lot of people who are very clever at making a lot of noise about what they do, which may not even be just their contribution, maybe a team contribution, which they grab the attention for, which Yogesh had said in the beginning. So, HR systems should be such that you are able to differentiate between who is really contributing for the company and who is just about doing enough and who is not doing even enough. So that is how your processes need to be calibrated. That is how nuanced they need to be, so that you are able to generate better productivity. So similarly, let's say just to give you an example, your performance management system, your appraisal system, how fair is it? Is it data oriented? Is it does it ensure that there are some managers who will keep pushing their people? Are you able to safeguard against that? There will be some managers who are very biased towards a few people and against some other people. Are you able to ensure that those people against whom the manager is biased, you are giving them enough cover? How will you do that? You will do that by ensuring your performance management system is very transparent. It is data oriented. It follows the process of all data coming in the open, every manager giving a justification for the ratings that they have given, and sharing the data for why they have given that rating to a particular individual. So, do your systems have this level of sophistication? Next, very importantly, you must remember that a lot of people see HR, oh, HR is a cost. Or, like one of you mentioned, that oh, HR is meant to do, you know, celebrate festivals, do rangoli on the floor, recognize people. That is HR's duty. So that's a very narrow way of looking at HR. HR is absolutely critical because ultimately all organizations are people centric organizations, because ultimately it is the people who are making the organization. Organization cannot be made out of a building, cannot be made out of patents, cannot be made out of the gadgets or the resources or the machines that you have. Ultimately, it is the people. So, how sophisticated your HR systems are in ensuring that you are getting productivity? If you get productivity, if you get good productivity, are you measuring that productivity? Because please appreciate, even 1% of productivity in a large organization means you are generating maybe $100 million, $200 million. Even 1% of increase in productivity means that. So therefore, HR is not a cost center. HR is actually a profit center for an intelligent organization. But if we continue to be the way most organizations are, where they see HR as a cost center, training as a cost center, uh, hiring as a cost center, then they will those organizations will not do very well. They will have a very limited way of understanding business. I used to work with somebody in a very large company, and he was the CHRO, and I was heading learning and development, and he had this habit of calling learning and development lunch and dinner. He simply did not understand the strategic value that L&D could bring. He was more concerned about, has the training happened? Have you got good feedback? It is not just about the training happening or getting good feedback. It's about the impact it is having on the people who are getting trained, their productivity, their perception, their enthusiasm, their excitement. That is what L&D can do, and talent management and HR can do. So it really depends from organization to organization, people to people, whether they can extract the maximum out of HR or they just feel that HR is a cost center, something they have to live with because every organization lives with it. Agree, disagree, thoughts?
I
Absolutely, sir.
totally agree with you, sir. Totally agree with you. It is very important, and I think as HR professionals, it is also important for us to position ourselves in such a way in the organizations, because many at times, even in my circle, people, so you're in HR, so you guys are into rangoli making. They
Hmm.
don't understand when the HR is completely aligned with the management, their vision and the goal, and the kind of role that the HR department plays to accomplish that. So
Absolutely.
you rightly said, sir. Even in the kind of organizations that I have seen people, that I've worked with, a lot of time people, look at learning and development in that way. They don't care what impact it is making. They don't understand that just out of one session you cannot get everything. So it's just a superficial, like upper say they are doing, but they are not understanding the depth of it. And I agree that even as an individuals they don't understand. So I hope that they go and they do their homework and they study and then they come back and make such comments.
True.
Sir, I feel amazed that because if all of those people who have gone up, they must have also done their MBA and all. So they have also been maybe broadly only, but they have got trained on the aspects of L&D as well as on the aspects of HR. So even if then, if they are making such kind of comments, that shows their lack of experience also and their competence also.
Yes, absolutely.
Sir, sorry if I'm
Yes,
again
Bhakti.
asking for the example. Do we
Hmm.
have the example of any company where they thought like HR is a cost centric department, and the other company who flourished by thinking that yes, it is one of the critical function, and uh, like it achieved success.
So, Bhakti, most of the companies treat HR as a cost center, and HR is a cost center. I'm not denying that, but a cost center which can deliver a lot of value. But most companies see that, okay, I need HR for payroll, for people interaction, and most companies you will come across treat HR just for the plain vanilla function that it does. But there are other organizations, and I have worked in GE where HR is a very strategic department and they know how to extract productivity from people. They know how to ensure the performance management is done in such a way that they go into the details, and we will also I will show you a sheet when we are doing succession planning. That will be next week or next to next week. They go into the enormous details of every individual and look at, does this person have the potential to grow to the next level. Anybody who is promoted, there has to be a kind of a 360-degree assessment of that person. So they go into a lot of details about every individual, and I'm sure every mature organization goes into a lot of details about how to recognize people, how to grow people, how to ensure they are getting the inputs which they deserve, how to train them to be better. For example, GE had a internal university in outside New York called Crotonville, and all the leaders were sent over there at least minimum 5 days in a year, where they had to stay there and learn the various aspects of running a business, leadership, and all the associated values of leadership. So, so that is how they were running HR. While most organizations run HR as payroll management or you know something very basic.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. So here is a very important statistic which says that 41% of employees, this is of course from the American industry, but 41% of the employees are simply enrolled, which means that they go to office, they do the basic work they're supposed to do, and they come back. So they are not really engaged. You have 30% people who are disenchanted. That means they are unhappy with the work that they're doing. 8% are disengaged, which means they are not only unhappy, but they are actually hating the organization they are working in. And only 21% people are really engaged. And again, as you can see, going back to the 80-20 principle, it's the 20% who are really engaged, or 21%, and they are giving their utmost to the organization. Now look at this pie diagram. If, as HR, if we are able to reduce the 41%, so the 41% are very close to being engaged. They are enrolled. They are not negative, but they are not very positive either. But if you change this 41% to, let's say you reduce it to 31%, so 10% more are pushed into being engaged, you can imagine the huge benefit you will get in productivity. This data, that statistic is not here, but this was from 2007 2008, and that particular year the American industry lost about $300 million in lost productivity, because people are not engaged, because only 21% are engaged. So they lose about annually about 300 to 400 billion dollars in productivity. Same goes for India, China, Japan, Germany, all the big economies, that we lose substantial percentage of the revenue that can be generated through uh, the loss in productivity. So therefore, this is the strategic HR. Now like Bhakti asked about example, and that is the difference between, you want to have a tactical HR or you want to have a strategic HR. Tactical HR is, who's coming to office at 10 o'clock and who's not coming to office. How can I give them half day if they don't come to office at 10 o'clock, even if they have to come at 10:05? Let me catch hold of these guys and give them half day. So that is very tactical way of looking at HR. How to kind of suck up to the big guy who's the big shot in the company, and who's doing all the setting the wrong examples, but how to kind of be on his right side so that he doesn't come back on me heavily. And the other is HR, where you have good systems, good processes, enabled leaders, and people who understand that people processes in any company, be it manufacturing, be it services, is very, very critical. And you are able to ensure that people are giving their best. So that is where good HR competes with not so good HR. So please see the statistic. This is very powerful, and this applies not just to America but global. That 41% people are just enrolled. They are sitting on the edge of being engaged. Moment they are pushed into engaged, their productivity will grow exponentially. Okay, so there are different frameworks. So this is David Tong's talent engagement framework. So he talks about three aspects. Like earlier we talked about engaging your cognitive system, engaging your limbic system, which is your emotional part of the brain, and then what are the behavioral outcomes you get. So David Tong says that employee engagement is 20% inspiration, 30% collaboration, and 50% perspiration, which means that by perspiration he means a lot of hard work. You have to create the systems and processes in your company in such a way that things are transparent, and things ensure that the right people are rewarded. Because if you recognize and reward the wrong people, then you are ensuring that the good people will leave the company. As simple as that. Do not recognize and reward the wrong people. Recognize and reward the right people. Then you will encourage more people to perform better and improve their performance if they are not performing well. So cognitive would be promoting, growing, compensation. Emotional would be like we talked about, celebrating the festivals, recognizing people, remembering their birthdays and anniversaries. Those are the emotional part. So unfortunately, some companies think that only the emotional part is important. The cognitive part is not. And what are the behavioral outcomes? Uh, how do the leaders interact with the people below them? Is there mutual respect? Is there mutual appreciation? Are the values of the company something that you can see in front of you? For example, one company I worked for, they said that you have to be very agile because everything is changing. You have to be very quick to think on your feet and things like that. So so one of the values was agility. How agile you are, how fast you are. And at 5 o'clock, the entire office used to become empty. People would just start packing their tiffin from 4 o'clock. They would pack their tiffin and wait for the clock to strike 5 o'clock. And moment it was strike 5 o'clock, they would go out, swipe their card, and disappear. And the entire office would be empty except for the caretaker sitting over there at the gate. So one level, its value was agility. In practice, I think it was a very sleepy company. Nobody was agile. Even the CEO was kind of would not ever emerge from his cabin. He would just stay inside the cabin. He was rarely ever seen interacting with anybody. So, therefore, your outcomes are also connected with your values that you espouse, and not just values which you write in a PPT and tell people, but values which you practice. Remember, you can say whatever you wish to say. People will judge you by what you practice. Just like children learn from their parents, from what parents do, not what parents say. Similarly, in companies, people will learn from what the company actually does rather than what it claims it does. Okay, so these are some challenges. Like I think we had spoken in the beginning, that employee engagement really has to be everybody's responsibility and not just HR's responsibility. And very often, what happens is it is taken very lightly. And organizations do not think, particularly the leadership doesn't think that this is important. And when the leader doesn't think it's important, it's not important, then unfortunately, that cascades down to everybody. You may have seen that the leader's behavior is very critical. If the leader is focused on something, then organization will also be focused on that. And if the leader is not focused on it, then the organization is not focused on that. So therefore, it has to come from the top. Second is communication channels. Like I was saying, that this is very important, that anything, for anything which you want to be effective, you need to approach it systemically. It needs to be a end-to-end system and a process. It cannot be a one-off thing that, okay, I mean, today we will celebrate Diwali or tomorrow we will celebrate Christmas. It has to be part of a process that we will celebrate festivals. That is the process. Why? Because we want to have some excitement in the production floor. Why do you want excitement? Because then it will help people come alive and be more interested in their workplace. What will that result in? That will result in people giving their best to the work that they're doing, because overall they will be happy, in a positive state of mind, and they will be able to contribute more than what they have been contributing. And ultimately productivity will go up. So therefore, your communication channels has to be structured in a very detailed way. You may have an internal communications department, you may have an external communications department. So there have to be they have to have their work processes in place, formal work processes which they are constantly implementing. Role model leadership, unfortunately, as the first point, people do not think this to be important. So somebody has to role model this, that this is important. And engaging a creative workforce. So ultimately, HR processes have to appreciate human nature. And when people are doing something without fail, 9 to 5, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, then a lot of boredom sets in, a lot of monotony sets in. And when monotony sets in, monotony is the enemy of productivity. So you have to counter that monotony. So HR has to have processes whereby you are able to counter that monotony so that people's productivity is improved and sustained. Agree, disagree, anyone, any thoughts?
Absolutely, sir. Very well brought out that, in fact, as we have just mentioned, the challenges over here, the counter of the same, you also mentioned very well that we have to keep infusing some kind of a motivator in between as a HR, that employees look forward for something new which is going to happen, which is going to break the monotony. And as we say, as a routine also, as something as culture also, and definitely with infusing some kind of surprises also in between. It should not be that maybe after the holy celebration and after Ramjan nothing in between. So there has to be some surprise packages or something in between also, so that the boredom or kind of a lack of motivation should not set in, and people should remain motivated. And floor, as you said, one word very good, sir, that floor has to remain excited, that there should be some level of excitement on the floor, that the work remains positive and people are working for something next, looking up to something.
Yes, absolutely. Great. Let's move on. So here is a X model of employee engagement, and it says that you have the job in between, which is of course, that's why we are here, and you have the organization, in one of the axis, and the individual. So the individual and the organization, they are both going northwards, and in between you have on top you have maximum satisfaction and maximum contribution. In between you have the full engagement. If you have, if you are engaged, you are contributing, you are satisfied, then at this stage where there is a overlap between maximum satisfaction and maximum contribution, you have full engagement. So there are four states in a uh, job, which is they can be happy but they are not contributing. So there are many employees who are very happy being in the company, but they may or may not be contributing. There are people who are contributing enormously, but they are not happy. And then you have one set of people who are not engaged, and then you have the fourth set of people who are fully engaged, people who are enjoying maximum satisfaction and maximum contribution. So this is the model of employee engagement. So this is fairly simple, to understand, as it shows in the graphic. So these are some drivers of talent management. First of all, meaningful work. This is very, very important. There should be, particularly in the service sector, people are very well trained, people are domain experts very often, and they would expect the work to be meaningful. Particularly if you must have noticed that those of you who work in IT companies, a lot of employees look for excitement, IT coding to be done, exciting IT coding to be done. They are, you may give them slightly less salary, but the learning should be there in terms of learning a new program or a new way of doing things or a new software. Something should be there. So the work has to be meaningful. It has to be, there has to be enough space for them to operate. If somebody is breathing down their neck, somebody is micromanaging them, they may not be very happy. So, very importantly, time for slack. This is very important. If you are constantly breathing down their neck, then you will not have engaged employees. Hands-on management, which is the management cares. They have clear goals. They coach people. They invest in developing people, and they have modern performance management. Again, very important, positive work environment. If you have a negative work environment, chances are that most of your good resources will leave. The bad ones will stay because they are maybe not required in the market. They may not have too many options in the market, but your best performers will leave unless you have a positive work environment. So, a caring work environment, a culture of recognition, diversity, and inclusiveness, these are all very, very important. Growth opportunities. So, this is something which, of course, excites everybody. If there is no growth, then chances are people will leave your organization. And growth here, I do not simply mean vertical growth, it could also be horizontal growth, growth in responsibilities, growth in diverse kind of work that you're doing, growth in geographical spread. You may be going from one geography to another. So all this kind of opportunities are growth opportunities. So training people, wherever you invest in training, you will see that statistically you have better retention, you have better engagement. So facilitated talent mobility, people are getting opportunities within the organization, and there is a learning culture in the organization. Last but not the least, very, very, very important, trust. Do you trust the leadership? Do you understand the mission, the values, and the vision of the company? Is there investment in people? Is there transparency and honesty? And are you inspired by your leadership? So these are absolutely critical management drivers. These are not rocket science, these are very simple to achieve, but it takes a lot of hard work for any company to be able to achieve this. Agree, disagree?
Agree, sir.
Agree, sir.
Great.
And in another way, we can say these are the functions of HR.
Yes. So these are, see, Bhakti, I have my own theory and of management, which is uh, companies, there are a lot of things which are tangible and there are a lot of things which are intangible. Now, the more successful companies that they are tend to appreciate what is tangible, and also the successful companies appreciate what is intangible. For example, employee engagement, your salary is very tangible. You know the numbers. I'm getting X amount of money at the end of the month. That is very tangible. What is intangible is how happy am I feeling with the company, or how happy is the company feeling with me. So companies which focus on the tangible as well as the intangible tend to be more successful. So these are the intangibles of the company. The more they focus on this along with the tangibles, they will be more successful. And when they focus only on the tangibles, which is your salary, which is on your the seat that you sit on, your workstation, your laptop, what time you come in, what time you leave, then they may succeed, but their chances of succeeding are greater when they focus on that as well as this.
Yes, sir.
If you permit, in fact, as I see this table, this is very, very detailed. And as I can see, there are some aspects of it which maybe it is more of a operation guy who will be able to ensure,
Mhm,
who will be able to, in fact, what we say, implement it.
mhm.
And some of this is going to be something which the HR person, as maybe as a policy that he will be able to implement, something as HR personnel which I am supposed to ensure that the operations people are implementing.
Right.
So that maybe I have to look very differently. Like something on a training aspect, then definitely it's a L&D person only or a T&D person only who will be able to do it. And something on a matlab, working environment, which a operation guy only will be able to do it, but the HR person has to ensure that that is being happening in the company and the operations department is also aligned to it. So definitely it is on each one to make sure if we have to get into details and then work on the same.
Yes, Mayank, you're absolutely right. That most importantly, I think the word that comes to my mind when we talk about all of this, right, you rightly pointed out that operations, HR, and others, they all have to be involved. So the word that comes to my mind is synergy. There has to be enormous synergy between all the departments, and HR has to be the anchor in driving this. But ultimately, this has to be everybody's responsibility. No particular department can drive this on their own. This has to be a shared responsibility.
True, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. So these are some examples of how employee engagement helped. So at a beverage company, um, Molson Coors, you have highly engaged employees who were 5 times less likely than non engaged employees to have a safety incident, 7 times less likely to have lost time safety incident. And by strengthening employee engagement, the company saved about, you can see, $1.7 billion in safety costs. So, because you had more engaged people, they had less accidents, and therefore they were able to save that much money. Then you have a construction equipment maker, Caterpillar. They increased their employee engagement, and which resulted in $8.8 million of annual savings from decreased attrition, reduced absenteeism, and more overtime in their European plant. So you can see the outcome. Less people left the company, more people came on time, and also more people were willing to put in additional work, which is overtime. Overtime is always cheaper than getting new employees or adding to the headcount. So three outcomes came from increased engagement and productivity. So they had a $2 million additional profit and a 34% increase in highly satisfied customers. So imagine the impact goes out of the company as well. Your external stakeholders also have a higher satisfaction rate when the work is done by engaged employees. So these are some strategies to improve talent engagement. First, people should be aware of their core values, and you should endorse them wherever possible, in town halls, in meetings. Your core values should be something that you really base your work on. Unfortunately, I've seen many companies where if you walk into the company and you even ask a manager level person, okay, so what are your company values? The poor person will look very lost because he or she doesn't know what the company values are. So there are most companies are unfortunately like this. They have no clue what their company values are. Similarly, have a clear career path and growth path for people so that there is transparency. People know that by X time I will grow to this level, then to this level, etc. So that creates a lot of stickiness, lot of engagement. Recognize your best people. That is very important. Set an example that if you do good work, this is where you will be. This is how we will appreciate you. There should be transparency because if you are unfair, remember the consequences can be very severe. You will lose your best people. So do not be unfair, be fair, be transparent. Regular, honest feedback. So, feedback should be, there is a saying that feedback is a gift. So, this is a gift you should give to your employees, and not just to your employees, even to your managers and every senior person as well. So, feedback keeps you aligned, feedback keeps you straight, and you can constantly improve when you get feedback. Unfortunately, in most organizations, we do not have a system of regular feedback. If even something is not going right, many managers I've seen, they say that, okay, this has not gone right. I will give him feedback in the next appraisal. Don't wait for the next appraisal. Give feedback then and there. But feedback, there is a certain way of giving feedback. There is a sandwich method of giving feedback. There are other methods which we will not go into right now. But feedback should not be to hurt people. Feedback should be to grow people. Accountability. This is again very, very critical. People should take responsibility, accountability for the work that they do, and have good physical work environments. So these are some ways of improving engagement. This is the Gallup survey, the 12 questions, famous 12 questions. And you can see from the questions, this PPT will be shared with you. You can see from the questions, some of the critical observations are that do I have a friend at work? Somebody I can confide in. Does my supervisor care for me? So these are very, very fundamental questions. These are beautiful questions, very simple, but they are profound because they give you a great insight into what human beings are really looking for, what employees are really looking for from work. Now, the first question, I know what is expected of me at work. This obviously comes from your KRA, the discussion that you have with your manager, and then you focus on achieving that for the rest of the year. Ideally, this should happen in the beginning of the year. But very often, what I see is many organizations, they have this appraisal discussion. They give the KRAs just before the appraisal has to be closed. They discuss the KRAs, they plug in some data for their performance, then they close their KRA sheet, they submit their performance appraisal, and that is how it goes. So basically, something that was supposed to happen throughout the year happens at the end of the year when you are actually supposed to close the process, not initiate and close the process. So very often, coming back to this question, people are not clear what they're supposed to do. When people are not supposed clear about what they're supposed to do, then obviously they are confused and their productivity gets impacted. So sometimes it's about bad processes. It's not about bad individuals. It's about not having the process in place. So, these are some very, very simple and very insightful questions on Gallup. Gallup is the biggest employee engagement survey that is there in the world. There are other surveys also like Gallup, but this is the most well known and very important and simple 12 questions which they ask you. Any thoughts, any questions so far?
So one of the questions is, uh, my associates or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work. Now, this is something, so far as the employee engagement is there, as what we say, maybe it is related to more of a teamwork. And they're also saying that how much the other is also putting the efforts.
Mhm.
And I'm not the only one suffering the complete agony of trying to push the thing complete through. I
Yeah.
hope that is where what we are looking forward for.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mayank, we are all social animals. They say that humans are social animals, and we learn a lot from our peer groups. Particularly people who are younger, they are very influenced by what their friends say or what their co-workers say. So, it should be such that I should not be the only one who's trying to focus on the right things. The environment should be such that other employees are also focusing on the right things, and that is where HR has a role to play, and operations and the leaders have a role to play. That you are driving the right focus areas to be focused on. So my colleagues, my peers, my team, my leader, we should all be focusing on quality work. We should all be doing quality work. And then I will feel motivated. I will take it as default that I am supposed to work on with a lot of quality in whatever I do.
True, sir. True, sir.
Great. So we will close with one video. Just in case you can't hear the sound, let me know. So this video is from Accenture. and how they ensure that people are more engaged with the company. Okay, what kind of options they provide to the employees, how they engage the employees to be as productive as possible. Remember the words that we had talked about: discretionary effort. How people will give more effort, give their best to the company. And second, we had talked about igniting energy. How do you ignite the energy? Because as I said earlier, that human beings are very elastic. We are capable of the best of things. We are also capable of being super lazy and not doing anything, walking away from our own potential. So remember, all of us have enormous potential, but whether we bring it out or not, that is a choice that we have. That is a choice that the organization has, whether they want to bring that out in us or not. Okay, so this video is a small example of how one company tries to bring out more talent, more capability in their employees. So let's see this.
How can I pick one thing that I love about what I do?
The unexpected, I would say. The unexpected.
I'm able to learn new things every day and follow my passions and what I'm interested in.
You can learn and develop and grow in ways that you never expected.
You're with really smart people who understand your language.
I think what I love best about what I do is that it actually has the potential to change the world.
Accenture is a place where I can innovate. Accenture is a place where I've been able to take what I love doing, which is creating, to the next level.
I think the impact that you're able to provide is pretty amazing.
Access to big clients and being able to work on big projects where we can actually do real innovation.
We have really dynamic clients, we have dynamic resources, we have dynamic people.
Accenture allows you to work across many different industries.
It's amazing how you work with so many different personalities. Every day I'm working with different people, I'm working on different challenges.
My internship has nothing to do with getting coffee or making copies. I have a very hands-on internship.
I think the question I'd have is, what do you want to do? Because you can do whatever it is you want to do.
You should be thinking about what you haven't learned yet and how you want to learn it and how you want to grow.
If you want adventure, if you want the ability to travel and see the world, if you want to impact companies big and small, if you want to play around with robotics, if you want to work in advanced innovation labs.
When I had my first interview, it was so comfortable. I felt very welcomed.
Some places allow you to really make it what you want and so that you can get the most out of it. And that's exactly how it's been for me at Accenture.
The opportunity to work on these day-to-day, life-transforming things that are happening around you instead of being on the sidelines.
They care about who you are instead of what you are.
We are still learning what it means to live in a very digitally advanced, technology-driven world that depends on innovation. But if you want to figure it out, come play.
So that brings us to the close of today's session. Any thoughts, any observations?
Thank you, sir. Very useful and meaningful. In fact, those 12 questions are still pondering in my mind that as HR or as L&D people, it is very important for us also to maybe keep asking these questions for ourselves, this should be something we should put in our own table, that every once in a week or once in a month we should be going through these questions for ourselves, that am I doing something for the organization which is to keep people engaged and keep people happy and keep people motivated.
Yes, absolutely, you're right. This is something that you can take a look at again and again, once a month or maybe at a certain frequency. This really keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you aligned. So yes, you're right. Great. Thank you, everyone. We will connect again afternoon. So have a good lunch, and then we will connect again at 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.